because as of late, the Backrooms is not really liminal anymore. You have all these
creatures,
monsters and different levels and a lore that, don't get me wrong, I love.
Reapers, what is good? It's your boy Laser. You guys know the vibes. We're back with some more scary action videos. If you're loving the scary content, so I continue to deliver that for you guys. In this video, we're going to be reacting to the creepiest liminal spaces, the Backrooms, guys. Oh man, oh man. If you guys enjoy the scary content, you guys want more scary videos like this in the future, simply just hit that like button, you subscribe, and you turn notifications on. It only takes less than a second. Let's dive straight into this video. Alright, so if you guys aren't familiar with like liminal spaces, it's like those places that like seem familiar. Like you've seen them in your dreams or whatever, if you guys know what I mean. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. Like this. I feel like this is like at a... This just looks like a house I've been to before.
Liminal spaces. What is it about these places that makes us feel that we've been here before? Is it nostalgia, loneliness, or the unknown?
I think what's creepy about these
perhaps
is how there's nobody in them.
Those three.
Like there's no people.
Liminal spaces are a concept that everyone seems to love, and I've been wanting to make a video on this subject, but I didn't know exactly what to make the video about since there has been a ton of YouTubers that have made videos about this, and I didn't want to just talk about the Backrooms. So I thought about going through a list of liminal spaces that I feel like they don't really get the spotlight they deserve, and also explore the nature of why some of them are creepy or eerie. However, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be talking about the Backrooms. So, with that being said, let's dive into liminal spaces that I find scary. Now, this first liminal space that we are going into falls under the shopping mall category. To be more specific, an empty mall.
This one kind of looks like
this category of liminal spaces to be fascinating in many ways because it not only creeps me out, it also makes me feel very nostalgic. I know that malls still exist to this day. However, how many malls can you name that still have stores in them? At least in my city, most malls are pretty much dead.
Where I live, guys, there's like only one mall near me, and like a lot of people go to it, but the idea of malls going like closing down, dude.
There is a mall where I live called Wonderland of the Americas. It's a pretty small mall compared to others, but the vibe and atmosphere in this mall is very liminal. I think it's a mix between the brown floors and the colors around it. Most people say that this mall looks like an 80s mall straight out of Stranger Things, and that's because it is. It was originally opened in the 60s, but in the 80s they renovated the mall, and they haven't done any renovation since, so the 80s vibe is still present. I find these liminal spaces to be particularly scary, especially when it comes to the idea of being trapped in one of them.
Sometimes
it might
it's the
just
quality,
be a personal experience, but when I was a kid, I found the idea of being trapped in a mall after they closed very scary. Thinking of the dark corners of the mall and the music being turned off with no escape made me feel very spooked and creeped out. Another category of liminal spaces I find very scary is that of infinite pool rooms. Dude, this one is very similar to the Backrooms in terms of being trapped.
The first time I saw the pool rooms, guys, I was like, something just felt off about it, you know? Like, it was like a room full with like water and shit.
However, some of these pool rooms bring out a very weird feeling to me.
The idea of something just coming out of the water.
Some pools are so deep, like I'm talking about 10 feet deep. And I know I can't be the only one, but as a kid, I remember I was at one of these pools that people used to practice diving and whatnot. They obviously need to be really deep so you don't hit your head or anything like that. However, I remember going in deep in this pool because my friend was able to touch the floor, and I was like, oh yeah, I can totally do that.
I came with the pool
But to my surprise, when I tried going down, I didn't even make it to the floor, and I was already running out of breath. So I literally opened my mouth and I inhaled water when I still had like 2 feet left to get to the surface. And I think this plus the eeriness of the pool rooms is what makes this liminal space very scary to me. You see, a lot of the fear or mystery that comes with liminal spaces is oftentimes associated with something that we already fear. In this case, for the liminal spaces in malls, for me, it's loneliness, the idea of being trapped with no escape. And for the pool rooms, I relate that to the idea of me drowning. And that is the reason why so many people can have a sense of fear or eeriness when looking at liminal spaces. They all share a fear that comes with an experience that...
Guys, just a reminder that originally the Backrooms, like all the entities and shit, all the monsters, That shit wasn't really supposed to be a part of the backrooms, but people just decided to add it. The whole point of the backrooms was like the idea of like just the atmosphere. There's not supposed to be actual creatures in it.
Some of us have felt
sense.
in the past. This other liminal space is very unique in the sense that unlike the pool rooms, you can actually find these liminal spaces in a lot of places in real life, like in hotels, shopping centers, or even playgrounds. They all consist of the same features. A long hallway with rooms on the sides, very similar to the back rooms, but not necessarily the back rooms. I think this one for me, I find scary because of the movie The Shining with the creepy girls in the hallway.
I think that movie was made in the 80s,
an empty
bro.
playground with no children on it. This one is more connected to the nostalgic side of you. You don't feel creeped out necessarily. However, the nostalgia of it all is what makes this place seem ethereal to you. I would like to add that hospitals are also very similar to the liminal spaces in hotels and places like that. Even if I was making a video about
that looks like a fucking abandoned
I wouldn't
asylum.
even have to bring up the liminal aspect to them. Hospitals are naturally scary places to be because of the amount of people that die in those places. To me, the most realistic setting for a ghost or ghosts to show up is in a hospital. But just like the long hallways in the hotels, hospitals share the same liminal vibe with their creepy atmosphere of flickering lights and the quietness of it all. Another section of liminal spaces that I feel like most people don't really mention at all are airports and bus stops, especially late at night.
Dude, when waking up in the middle of the, like, guys, when you woke up for the bus in like the early morning and you stood out there like pitch black, dude, like I know that guy just gave you like an eerie feeling. This one really makes me
Most airports are pretty much empty, and for some reason I've always found airports to be scary. I think it's because of the fear of something happening while on board of the plane. And this takes us back to what I said earlier. Liminal spaces are oftentimes associated with fear, and that's why most of us fear them. Gas stations are my favorite kind of liminal spaces, but they don't really scare me that much. It's more of a strange goodbye feeling that I get when driving to one at night with the bright lights around them and just how peaceful and quiet everything can be. Upon doing some research about these images, I was trying to see if there was a pattern that might connect all of these images together, aside from the same weird vibe that we all get from them, and I think I found it. You see, a lot of these images are from places where we had at least one experience as kids. Playgrounds, classrooms, living rooms with old TVs, arcades, school hallways, doctor offices, you name it.
Or a library.
All of these places are very nostalgic to many of us. However, is liminality a concept that is universally experienced? And the reason why I asked this is because a lot of these liminal spaces
seen this one, like, dude, that one looks
places
familiar.
that you would normally experience if you lived in the US. So what about people in other countries? Do they experience the same feeling? I decided to look up some Mexican liminal spaces since I grew up in Mexico, but I didn't really get the same feeling at all. But if you guys are from some other country, definitely let me know in the comments if you guys feel that weird vibe with liminal spaces from your country. Now, if you're still watching to this point in the video, first of all, I want to thank you, but I also want to discuss the term of, what's a liminal space, you know? There are technically two terms for liminal spaces, you know, the images that everybody knows on the internet, like shopping malls, early 2000s rooms, you know, pretty much any hallway that looks creepy.
To me, guys, before he talks, to me, like, a liminal space is just any place that, like, looks familiar. Like, it looks like the type of place you would see in your dreams, but it has, like, that, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's closed. It has, like that closed space in it, you know? It's not like
those kind of things, right? But there is also the other meaning, I guess the more technical one. And that is that a liminal space is a transitional area that exists between two different states or conditions. These spaces are oftentimes associated with feelings of uncertainty, anxiety, and fear. In simple terms, a liminal space is like a bridge between the present and the unknown. With that being said, now I want to explore some liminal spaces in video games. Silent Hill is considered to be one of the best horror games of all time. But one thing that sets the game apart
there's supposed to be like a movie about this, dude.
is the setting in which the game is in, which is very liminal. A small town with a foggy and disturbing atmosphere makes this game a clear example of a liminal space.
Oh wait, I'm slow. I think there was like a game that got canceled.
And one that I find very scary. But something else that makes this game very unique is the loneliness you feel when running around town. Sure, you might find monster dogs or weird looking monsters around town, however, there's still a presence of loneliness throughout the game. All Resident Evil games also share the same qualities that make Silent Hill liminal, which is the concept of roaming around a silent environment, which makes it even scarier for the player than any jump scare. If you have been around the internet for years, you know that back in 2010, the creepypasta of Herobrine in Minecraft was
Bro, tell me if you did not make those Herobrine spawners when you were like 10 years old, bro, you didn't watch those tutorials, you did not have a childhood.
at the top when it came to spooky mysteries in gaming. But Minecraft, in and out of itself, is already a liminal experience. When playing the game, if you choose to lower down the view distance, the game simply adds fog to make the view distance seem non-existent. This fog, and a combination of the loneliness around the map, makes this another good example of
one of,
liminal space,
if not the best game of all
I've
time.
always found scary. But perhaps the game where liminal spaces are present the most is Gmod. Aside from the actual liminal spaces that you can find as actual maps to play, the default map is enough to make you question why you feel so strange when walking around the map. So, what is the takeaway from everything that I have discussed so far? Well, the takeaway is loneliness. In order to make something get under your skin, because
the idea there's no one in these pictures,
you don't need spooky monsters and jump scares. And yes, I am talking to you, Backrooms. All you need is an atmosphere where you can successfully mix loneliness, nostalgia, and the unknown.
See, the idea of being alone and like trapped in a place rather than creatures like actually being with you, like I feel like being alone is more creepy than actual creatures being with you, if that makes sense.
These are the three core components that make liminal spaces so interesting. But now is the moment that you have been waiting for, and yes,
imagine being the person that took the photos.
About the Backrooms now, yes. I first came across the Backrooms in late 2019, and I found it in this video by YouTuber Evan Royalty. He made a Backrooms video using GTA 5 where a police officer no-clips into the Backrooms while investigating the house, and I immediately fell in love. The idea of no-clipping, a video game term applied to real life, it's brilliant in every way possible. However, it's a little weird and ironic that the Backrooms are the prime example of a liminal space, because as of late, the Backrooms is not really liminal anymore. You have all these monsters and different levels and a lore that, don't get me wrong, I love, and I think...
See, like, why does everyone feel like every, like, scary thing has to have creatures in it? Like, that was what the Backrooms was all about. The original creepypasta, guys, there was no entities in it. Like,
it can be scary. However, sometimes doing nothing, having nothing, is enough. You see, the three main concepts which I talked about earlier that make liminal spaces scary for me and for many other people are the lonely presence of these places, the weird nostalgia that you feel, almost like if you have visited these places before. Everything is
like my grandma's house,
and you don't know where to go or where you are. I love that people want to be creative and make spooky content even more spooky. But has anyone actually stopped to think that maybe the Backrooms as a concept where you no-clip and there is nothing in that place,
just being alone,
no monsters, no lore that surround this realm, is enough? You see, I believe that sometimes things are good as they already are. And even though you might think that adding more to something that is already good is going to make it even better, sometimes you're wrong. I love what 𝐾𝐫𝐞 has been doing, especially at such a young age. And the fact that A24 approached him to make
this guy made better, bro.
Successful Backroom series is.
I'll include a link to one of those videos. Like, you guys should watch it. He literally did like it was one person, by the way. He literally made a whole Backrooms like horror movie. Like, it was a short horror film, and it was like it seemed like an actual movie.
Something to be admired.
I'll put a link to it.
However, I will always think
that's crazy,
the
dude.
liminal spaces are scary as they already are. Feeling like these places are very familiar to you and at the same time provoking a sense of mystery to them is enough to make liminal spaces scary to me.
Well, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This guy did a very good job of explaining what liminal spaces and what the Backrooms are. Which liminal space in the video scared you the most? And if it wasn't included in the video, comment it down below. Now, if you guys enjoy the scary videos and you guys want more scary videos like this in the future, you guys know what to do. And I will see you in the next one. Peace!